to a new segment that is coming here to East Texas today on KTK Plus. Now, this new segment is Beyond the Headlines with Hannah Walker. Hannah is a member of our digital team who has a deep interest in true crime, which has led her to researching, interviewing, and writing about several unsolved cases from here in East Texas. Now, in this week's segment of Beyond the Headlines, Hannah is taking us to Grand Saline, Texas, to dive deeper into how One Daughter's podcast revives hope in an East Texas mother's 35-year-old cold case. Now, you all, I'm going to be reading this really in-depth article that Hannah Walker put together. She put a lot of effort into this, and I also have some footage from the case that she's looking at, as well as images of the individual that we are speaking of, which will be playing as I am speaking. So I want to go ahead and jump right into this because, like I said, Hannah worked really hard on putting this together. Now, you all are going to have to excuse me here. I need to fix this video. I want you all to be able to see it in its entirety. Sometimes, technology is really honestly only great when it works, but luckily we have the ability to fix that on spot. So there that is. But 35 years ago, in a small town in East Texas, a beloved mother disappeared, breaking her 12-year-old daughter's heart. Now in 2025, that daughter has started a podcast to help solve the case that has haunted her for decades. KTK News had the opportunity on Monday afternoon to talk to Jamie Good, who hasn't heard from her mother, 37-year-old Judy Marie Foster, since one night in September of 1990. Now, during the interview, KTK News went beyond the headlines and heard Good's story from the last words she shared with her mother to her podcast generating new leads and the steps she's taking to keep her mother's memory alive. Who is Judy Foster? Good explained that her mother, at only 5 feet 1 inch tall, was filled with fire. She says, quote, she was a beautiful soul inside and out. She would walk into a room and she could light it up, end quote. Now, a lover of country music, dancing, and Wranglers, Foster gave her heart and soul to everyone who was around her. Now, we're moving through the timeline here to 1990, Foster's disappearance. On September 8, 1990, in Grand Saline, Foster was driving around with her 12-year-old daughter, Good, wanting to talk to her about some things, including her impending divorce. They both ended up at the popular hangout spot, Bear Grounds, which is a parking lot at the old Piggly Wiggly shopping center. Later that night, Foster dropped Good off, went to an Easy Mart, and had no idea that would be the last time she'd see her mom. Good explained, quote, she said, I'm going to run up to the store to get cigarettes, and I'll be right back. That was the last thing I ever heard my mom say. She went to the store to get cigarettes and somehow ended up at the Bear Grounds, end quote. Now, Foster's car was found just 2 days later at the Bear Grounds. Now, we're jumping now to 2025, where a podcast is generating new leads. So now in 2025, Good started her podcast, Judy's Daughter, after years of feeling unsupported by law enforcement and realizing it would be up to her to solve her mom's case. She says, quote, over the last 35 years, I've let the Grand Saline Police Department and Van Zandt County run this investigation, and they've come up with nothing. So over the last several years, as I've gotten older, I've realized that it's going to take me to have to do something, end quote. She explained that just, quote, taking and putting things out there, end quote, has caused people to come forward, generating more leads in the past 2 months than authorities have since 1990. Now, Good said, quote, we're at almost 140,000 views just in the last 28 days. It's madness. People are talking, they're listening, they're realizing that those men in the small town are not the people they thought they were. The podcast is my way of telling my mother's story and maybe finding out where she's at, end quote. Now, people, if you'd like to, you can listen to Good's podcast titled Judy's Daughter, the Jamie Good story, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and Amazon Music. Now we're going to move forward here to how her daughter is keeping her mother's memory alive. Now, to celebrate Foster's birthday and honor her life, Good will be hosting a motorcycle ride in Grand Saline on October 19th. And here are a few details. That start time is at 2 p.m. The meetup location is at Means Home Center at 1912 West Frank Street, and it's supposed to end at the Bear Grounds. She is asking that everyone wear the color blue, which was her mother's favorite color. And Good stated, quote, "This ride is not just a journey on two wheels. It's a celebration of Judy's life, love, and the memories we cherish. All riders are welcome, and we encourage you to bring your stories and memories to share as we pay tribute to a remarkable woman. Let's make this day of love, remembrance, and camaraderie." End quote. So here are those next steps. Now, despite continuing to post podcasts and honor her mother in many ways, Good still needs the public's help. Good said, quote, "I know there are people who have not come forward and they have more information, but they're scared for themselves or for their family. But I also want them to think about how scared my mom was. I want them to think about how scared I was as a child not having my mom come home. Put yourself in my shoes. Whoever you are, if you have information, do the right thing and come forward," end quote. So if anyone has any information about Foster's case, no matter how small, they can contact Good at this email. It is Jamie, Jamie, Good, Good, podcast, podcast, at gmail.com, or at the Grand Saline Police Department at 903-962-3145. Now, this story is the third edition of Beyond the Headlines, where KTK News covers unsolved cases in East Texas. And if you would like to see the other two, you can visit us at our website, KTK.com, by scanning that QR code on your screen.